The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whether you're new to sales or a lifetime veteran, the Blackbelt Sales Podcast will sharpen your sword and guide you to master the art of sales. And now, here's your host, the ninja himself, Gene Slade.
What's going on, ninjas? Good to see you today. Hey, if you're not making at least $500,000 a year in the trades as a salesperson or a selling tech, this podcast is going to be for you. Good morning, Don. Say hello to everybody.
Good morning.
What are we going to talk about this morning?
Good morning. Yeah, that's a heck of a topic. Let's do some math and let's make some money today.
Yeah, let's do the math real quick. How do you get to $500,000 a year in income in this industry?
Yeah, our comfort advisor, if you're going to have to sell about $5 million worth of equipment, most likely. If you get extras for indoor air quality, you can sell a little less because you can get your ad up. Some places pay a little higher for their Breathe Easy and adders to equipment, but yeah, it's looking like you're going to have to be a $4 or $5 million producer. And again, everybody's equation and math can be a little bit different, but no matter where you do it, you've got to be a serious producer. And today, that's what we want to talk about. Let's be serious.
Isn't $5 million like out of reach? Isn't that like out of question? I mean, everybody's trying to hit that elusive $1 million mark, right? But that's really old math. Right. That's an old goal. With everything that's happened over the last 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, $1 million, I think the first year that anybody broke that in residential replacement sales, I think was 1987. So that right. Math doesn't really add up anymore. And if you are doing $1 million and you think that you're doing well, you really are just scratching the surface. I feel like $3 million is the new 1 million. What do you think?
Yes. I had 6 comfort advisors, and I certainly had the philosophy. I just wanted to have plenty. We ran our turnovers immediately. We could be running 6 turnovers simultaneously, and top producers were 2.7 to 3.3 million. That was what I wanted the top guys to do. $1.5 million guy, we had a few, but $1.5 million is not the standard that comfort advisors can be in when they're serious about their business. So 3 million I consider to be the high end, the high status, the elite. 3 million's good. I'm not going to say it wasn't elite, but 5 million is certainly that next level that you want to get to. And how do you do 5 million?
10. Between 5 to 10, right? Because there are people today that are doing $10 million.
Sure, certainly. And we've got a guy it comes to the class quite a bit that had $1 million month. How about a comfort advisor to do 1 million in a month? I know when my company hit 1 million, I kind of got a little bit of scoot in my step and excitement and just crazy feeling. But how about be a comfort advisor and you can do $1 million in a month? And he's not the only guy. It's not like that's the only sale that he got all the leads that month. No, he's a but he was a heck of a closer. He was closing everything they send. Everything's the wrong word. I know he's a 60% closer, but average tickets are, $20,000 range. I'd have to get the exact numbers from the guy, but I would imagine it's really, really close. That's an incredible number nowadays. Average ticket getting past 10,000 a few years ago. That almost seems like a joke at this point now. Average tickets for comfort advisors need to be probably 15, but looking serious with the equipment change that's coming, pricing we've had, we're going to be sitting at $20,000 for a middle of the road system. And most of our comfort advisors are thinking $20,000. Man, what are we? What they're getting the elite of the elite. That's going to be middle of the road in the next
Yep.
year or two. That's going to be the middle of the road that you'll have to just and equipment costs that have escalated so much. So
we were hearing yesterday in our owners group, Don, that one of our train dealers just got notice that they're getting an 18% increase in the cost of the equipment.
Yeah. That's what I heard. I out of the floor and to get back in the chair a little bit, because that 18% will knock you down. Between inflation, normal adjustment for the year, and a refrigerant change, I wouldn't put it past. That's going to be the norm this year, is to see about an 18%. Now, good news is adjust our prices. We just saw an 18% increases as comfort advisors, as business owners. You have to pass that on to your customers, and you can't psychologically say they won't pay it. They didn't know what a system cost yesterday. They're not going to know, right? So these numbers will be just something that we have to get used to, and just realize we have to up our game if that's what we got to do.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick. Let's reduce this 5 million. We're talking about making $500,000 or a year or more here. You said we need to do about $5 million in sales annually in order to make $500,000 a year, and I agree with you. So let's break that down on a more simple basis. Like, let's reduce it to the ridiculous, right? So that people can actually see that it is possible. So you've got, let's say that $5 million, let's divide that by 50 weeks. And what does that bring us to a week?
100,000 a week, isn't it?
So 100 grand a week. And I'm going to run 15 calls, probably on average, right? 3 calls a day. So what is that number? You got your calculator there, don't you? Here, let me get my calculator out.
I'm working for it. Yeah, I'm working for it. 100,
all right, so
100,000 divided by 15 calls. So, I mean, we'd have to have about $66 of revenue per lead, which is the new standard, in my opinion, of how you evaluate. For years, we've talked closing ratio, we've talked average tickets, but revenue per lead basically puts those two together. You could sell $100,000 ticket on 15, you still got 6,666, or you just could sell 6,666 on all 15 of those. It will generate the same amount of money. So revenue per lead, revenue per call. Don't get stuck on the word there, like, oh, this wasn't a lead because it was a rental. We try to justify everything out. If you get to the house, we're counting it. That's the way it counts. If you get to the house, it counts in your numbers. But revenue per job, revenue per lead, all of the same information.
Man, I always have this argument with the West Coast guys. It's like the East Coast against the West Coast, right? Over here, I look at average ticket, right? And when I say average ticket across the Mississippi and I go out to California, they're actually talking about average sale. So if they ran 3 calls and they closed $20,000, they'll say my average ticket is $20,000. No, it's not. That's your average sale, right? And so there is a big difference between average sale and average ticket. Your average ticket is got to include the zeros. So essentially, all you have to do to make $500,000 a year or sell $5 million a year is to have an average ticket of somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,600, right? Or close 1 out of 3 of those on a $20,000 ticket. When you break it down that way, it doesn't seem that hard.
Right.
So let's give them some tips on how they can actually start to close that much. But before we do, take a quick look at this video. This video is actually about our next live event that's coming up in January. I know we'll be dating the podcast by saying this, but the chances are pretty good that in the future we'll have another event at this place that you're getting ready to see real quick. Hang out with me for a couple of minutes, and when we come back, we're going to share with you some tips and advice, some secrets on how to actually get to that $5 million a year in gross sales. Check it out.
I'm Jonah Gorlitz. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been doing HVAC for about 1.5, 2 years now, and I work for Instant Air out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Hi, I'm Kim Kay. I work with Leads Nearby, and I've been working with Leads Nearby for over 8 years, and we work with HVAC, electrical, and plumbing contractors.
So my name is Chris Laurentino from Comfort Specialists. We're out of Morris County, New Jersey. I've been in the industry about 17 years now. I joined the mastermind because it's not just a sales course. Actually, it's not really a sales course at all. So the reason I joined the mastermind is I've seen some people's results online.
This is different from other events that I've been to. I've been to various contest events for quite a few years now.
That's really taught me how to understand and communicate to the customer well. It's actually my second mansion trip from the community of how well some people have done, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
And this one is the best space. It's the most glamorous space. And it's basically one training that builds upon each other.
Share in that success. And it felt that the best way to achieve that was to actually get here and get involved in the training. And frankly, in my mind, there's no better way to train than in person. Since I've been in the class since December, my income has improved, my revenue for the company has improved, my customer relations have improved, and my call volume has decreased while the profits and everything else has increased. Being here is a unique experience that you can't replicate in just a Zoom class. There's so much more that you get out of this.
And the other events I've been to, it's a lot of information on a lot of topics where this is very concentrated. I feel like it allows you to have more focus.
So we're talking this morning about if you're not making $500,000 a year as a salesperson or a selling tech in the trades, you're doing something wrong. Okay, we've had 3 people that have come through our events this year or on sites that were doing $2.4, $2.5, $2.6 million, and they have literally doubled their revenue, and they're tracking it between $4 to $5 million now. One of them is tracking at $6 million, another one's tracking at about $5 million, and another one should end up the year at about 3.8. And he was tracking at 2.4 when he came to see us in June. So you can see that there was a massive uptick, a massive increase. And if you've got guys that are already doing $2 to $3 million a year, those are the guys that I'm really looking for. Because it's much more difficult to take somebody who's doing $500,000 or $300,000 a year and get them up to that $2 million than it is to take a guy from $2 million to $5 million. All right. So if you guys have got guys out there like that, you want to get them into our class in January. So 24th through the 28th, you'll check in on a Wednesday night. You check out on a Saturday morning. You don't need a car. All you got to do is an airline ticket and an Uber. Right, Don?
Yeah, I think the checkout Sunday morning. Is that right?
Is that what I said? Did I say Sunday? Did I screw up?
You said Saturday, I think.
My bad.
You said
yeah,
Saturday.
It's Sunday morning checkout.
So
You're
it's
right.
Sunday. Saturday is that optional day to actually implement. So some people do leave early, but and really want you to stay through the implementation phase where we sit around and just practice. You learn the items, and then you actually learn how to say them and how to go use them, and that's incredible. But I'll take one. I don't know if it's the word offense, but one side to. There's a lot of guys out there that aren't selling 5 million, making $500,000 a year, and they're still doing well, but they're not doing what the potential for this business really is. And that's what you really mean by, if you're not making $500,000, you're taking advantage of the potential for this industry, for this job. And you might say, well, I work at a small company and the whole company doesn't even do that. That's because we're small-minded in a way that we just don't believe it's possible. Once you believe it's possible, it will happen. So you got to believe it first, and then. But yeah, we've seen some wonderful growth out of those guys. They've done the hard work. We pushed them. We got them the information. We showed them some more things how to close. Sometimes we just have to give them the basics. Write it down. If you do not present items, I know it's crazy, but people do not buy the stuff you don't even present to them.
Yeah.
So at least get it on the list. That alone sent the generator sales through the roof for this one company that we talked about is just add generators, surge protectors, comfort protectors to your presentations. There's an extra few hundred to few $1,000s depending on which surge protectors your company likes to install. So it's there. Breathe easy. You could if you're 2.5, you could probably, if you're $3 million, you could probably go to 4.5 to 5 just with indoor air quality. You can get 50% increase in your ticket with Breathe Easy on the same number of calls. That's crazy because most comfort advisors want to sell a box. They just want to sell the box, and that's not the future. Box selling is going to be a commodity. It's the rest of the stuff that really makes us great.
And it doesn't take long. Like, you don't have, people sometimes think that you've got to wait until you've got 12 consecutive months to be tracking at something like $5 million. We've seen guys who are doing 250 to 300,000 a month that come to us, and within 30 days, they're doing 500,000 a month. So you really, truly can have that kind of an impact within a 30 to 60 day period. And talk about a massive life change for somebody. If you add $15,000, $16,000, $20,000 in income to your paycheck, now you have the ability to potentially retire someday. Right? I think people, I think most of the people out there have got a serious income problem and they don't know it. Like, if you're not stacking $100,000 or $200,000 into something else every year, will you actually ever be able to retire? That's my big question. So, Don, let's roll into 2 reasons. What do you think? What do we believe here at Lead Ninja are the 2 reasons that people don't end up buying from us? What would the first one be?
I always go back to it's the need. They do not feel they have a need. That's the first item. They do not come to their own conclusion that they have a need. Oftentimes we tell people they have a need, and again, did my dad tell me, boy, get to the, don't be out later than 10. And what about 10, 15? You come sneaking in, right? We tend to push back on what we're told to do, even though what we should do, we tend to push back. So if I just tell you need to come to this event, everybody out there is probably going to say, yeah, I'll prove you wrong. I'll prove you wrong. I don't, I'll do it without you. I'll do it despite you. And so we want to get our clients to come to their own conclusion that something needs to be done about their problem. Talk about the solutions. We often talk about our product. We talk about our solutions. You say, oh, I sell solutions. I don't sell product. Well, you really, you got to sell a fix to their problem more than you sell the solution. And that's what people present and talk about their solution when the customer doesn't even have a problem, right? There's only a solution's only needed if I believe I have a problem. So sell the problem before you ever start talking about the solution. So getting them to come to their own conclusion is really a huge step. You go, oh, I know I do that. Not, you step back and look, record your calls, really look at what you're doing. We tend to be talking at our clients more than having a conversation with our clients. So the first, what do you think the second one would be, Gene?
Well, before I say that, I want to say that when we do these events, I think one of the reasons they become so successful is because we spend about a day and a half with that sense of urgency. A day and a half training them how to get the client to come to their own conclusion that something needs to be done. And if you're hearing something like this every once in a while, well, what do we do about it? Then your client is coming to their own conclusion that something needs to be done. But if you're telling them there's a problem and then you're giving them a solution, you're doing it wrong. Okay. So, and we don't have enough time today to talk about how to actually get the client to come to their own conclusion that something needs to be done. That's something that takes us a day and a half to do at a live event. So the answer to your question, the other reason that people don't buy right now is because usually they can't see how they can afford it. They either don't have the money or they can't see how they can afford it. So we actually have something called the payment plan close that we use in order to help the client to see that they can afford it. And it's got to be done word for word. And you don't want to use the words financing, but that's been my experience.
Right.
They've already eliminated themselves from the possibility of owning whatever it is that you're talking about because they just can't see how they can afford it. 60-something% of the United States doesn't have $600 in the bank in their savings.
Right. And majority of the homeowners do not think that companies offer paymenting, as we hate to say, because we've always had a yard guy who just holds his hand out when he's finished and expects cash. And maybe in the modern day version of it, my yard guy wants me to Cash App or Venmo in money nowadays, but aren't necessarily thinking, oh, I've got $2,000, $5,000, $15,000 that I can just write a check on or Venmo or Cash App to someone, because that's the way everyone else in their home, everybody else who comes to their home, that's what they do. A handyman does a little work and then he stands there with his hand out and expects cash to drop into it, right? We have to let them know that, on a weekly basis, how much you think you can afford and still put syrup on the pancakes, right? We have to get them thinking about just making a payment. We've utilized payment plans, finance companies, for about 65% of all of our install jobs. If you're not in that 60, 70, 80% range on that, you're orienting yourself to asking for $15,000 or $20,000 house and says, oh yeah, I can do all this work. It's just $20,000. Do you have $20,000 you would readily just give them a check for, or hand them your credit card and say, hey, just put 20 grand on that credit card right there? Most of us wouldn't do that, but yet we turn around and ask, are bad people because they don't, right? We act like, oh, that was just that client, they
were
just
cheap.
They were cheap, they were stubborn. They didn't want to, they just couldn't do it. Well, you were asking them, not specifically because you didn't show them, you were telling them $15,000, $20,000 and we take credit card. Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a bill next month when it comes in. Most people aren't going to be that way. It's the 1-2%. We want to build a system that we can sell the 95% of the clients out there, and we'll make the exception who do have $10,000 in their in the back bedroom under their bed in cash. Right? We'll still take that, but we don't want to build our presentation around that. One thing that we did, and I know our comfort advisors get away from it, and I have to kind of remind them, is present payment, whether it's monthly or weekly, first. And then when somebody says, no, I don't finance, I'll just write you a check. Oh, okay, no problem. And then just show them the dollar amount. And just show them the dollar amount. Most people can't do math. Even our clients can't take $250 or $200 a month and know what that's buying for them, right? $200 a month, $50 a week, probably actually be what, $45 a week when you factor in 4.33 weeks in a month. But $200, how much that's going to buy? I don't know the rest of the terms, right? So a client's not going to know all those other details, and they can visualize $200 in a month. They can visualize $50 a week. You can get a lot of stuff in our industry you can get a lot of stuff in this industry for $50 a week. Again, depends on your payment factor, depends on what you get, but it might be $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 that you could get for $200 a month with the lowest payment factor out there. It's huge.
So guys, listen, if you need help with how to present, and we hate this word, financing, we call it easy payment plans. If you need help with how to present an easy payment plan, I want you to put payment plan close down in the comments. The 3 words, payment plan close, down in the comments, and I'll actually have my team shoot you a PDF of how we actually sell financing, if you will. And Brittany, I don't know if you can jump in here real quick, at least with your voice. Has Don's video been glitchy? Has it been glitchy? Has it been cutting out a little bit? Like not the video, yes, but the audio?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I was going to kind of role play back and forth with you on this now, but I want to leave the people with a massive, massive nugget. And I'm going to do the payment plan close for you real quick. All right, before we take off. And again, just comment payment plan close if you want us to send you the PDF. But when somebody tells you that they don't have the money, and this is not typically in a comfort advisor setting. Let's say that you're a technician on a maintenance or service call. You created a big list for them, and it's prioritized in order of like mandatory, near future stuff, and then stuff that would be nice to have. When they say something to you like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and think about it and we'll call you. Remember this. When a man or a woman says, I want to think about it, they already thought about it and stopped thinking. I'm going to say that one more time. When a man or a woman says, I want to think about it, they already thought about it and stopped thinking. If it were free, would they need to think about it? Then what is the problem if they wouldn't need to think about it? Isn't it always the money? So when somebody gives you a stall or a put off, like I want to think about it, and you're a technician, this is what I want you to do. I want you to first get them to lower their guard by saying, that's not a problem. Before I take off, right? Like the whole picture they're getting in their mind is, okay, I gave him a little bit of an objection. He's backing down. He's getting ready to leave, right? So you're going to say, before I take off, is there anything on this list that you feel is overkill or unnecessary? And if they say something is overkill or unnecessary, just mark it off the list, okay? Then ask them again, is there anything else that you feel is overkill or unnecessary? If they say something else, mark it off. If they don't, say this. So you do feel that the rest of this needs to be done. And they'll say yes. And you're not saying that to be nice to me? And they're going to go, no. And I'm going to say, level with me. How do you feel about the money? This is when it's going to come out. This is when they're going to go, yeah, it's a lot of money, man. I was expecting $39 for a tune-up or $99 for a tune-up, and I got a $15,000 list. Here's where you're going to have some guts. Let's say guts. At this stage of the game, you really have to ask the client a very direct question. And the way that I ask it is this. I say, do you have that much money? Now, some people get a little bit nervous about saying that, But I promise you, if you've spent the time that you need to spend doing a good and thorough and proper job for the client, you will have earned the right to ask this question. And I'm going to tell you, people want to tell you no. They want to get it off their chest. Yeah, I don't have the money. No, I don't have it right now, Gene. At this stage of the game, they're even starting to feel even more comfortable because this big weight has come off of their shoulders, right? And they've now told you, I don't even have the money, so there's no way that you can close me, right? Next question is, when will you have the money? They're going to say, I don't know. You're going to say, take a guess. They're going to say, I don't know. You're going to say, take a guess. And when they say something like 6 months or 12 months, anything below 12 months, this is what you want to say. So you'll have the money in 6 months. And they say yes. You just look at them and go, all right, I'll take care of it for you. And you can pay us when you get the money. That's all. Don't say anything else. All right, I'll take care of it for you. And you can pay us when you get the money. Half of them will probably buy right then. They'll go, really? And you're going to say yes. And they'll go, okay. Have them initial your paperwork and then just say, it's okay if we look at your credit, right? That's it. It's okay if we look at your credit. Now, when you say, I'll take care of it for you and you can pay us when you get the money, if they don't go ahead, a lot of times what they'll say is, how does that work? I'm just basically going to repeat it. I'm going to keep it simple. 3rd to 5th grade reading level, okay? I'm going to go, it means that I take care of it for you now and you pay us when you get the money. That's going to close about another 50% of the ones that are left. And you're going to have, what's going to be left are the accountants, the engineers. They're going to want more detail and they're going to go, no, really, how's that work? And you're going to go, you're going to get a statement in the month every mail, or you're going to get a statement in the mail every month. You pay $100 a month and the balance in 6 months. That should get the rest of them. And guys, I'm going to tell you, and Don's got some experience with this too. That technique, when I learned it, literally increased my closing percentage over 20 points. I was at 72%, and it gave me a little more than an additional 20%. That's like a 33% increase in my closing ratio just by using the words that I just gave you. So if you want the PDF of that close, put payment plan close down in the comments, payment plan close. Don, you've got some experience with this as well. Tell them about how you were training your guys for like 6 months to do this and nobody was doing it.
Yeah, again, we'd been guys were good at it. And I just, kind of turned to him and said, how many times have you honestly said this in front of a customer? And he looked at me and said, I've never said this in front of a customer. Well, we've been in here practicing this and role. And then I just said, today's goal is, I don't care what the results are, is I want you to actually use these phrases. Is there anything on this list that's overkill or unnecessary? And walk through the process. And we're not going to measure or care exactly what the results are. Today's goal is just try. And it made a difference. It went from to mid 50s. It was like a 20% increase for this gentleman. And he's moved on. I've moved on, obviously retired, but he's still out in the industry and still selling. So I'm proud of him. He's kept the years. So.
Guys, this is what we see. We see typically what we're seeing is that this payment plan close literally will increase your closing ratio by about 20% if you're doing it right. Now, remember, it doesn't matter what kind of close you use. If there is no need established, like Don was talking about before, if they don't feel like they've got a problem, if they're not feeling uncomfortable with the way things are right now, there is nothing that you're going to say that is going to get them to buy. So you probably want to come out to one of our live events or get involved with our weekly trainings so that you can figure out or learn from us how to get the sense of urgency there, right? How to create a sense of urgency out of thin air. And there's a way to do it, but you got to use language in order to make it happen. And there's a way that you can help the client to increase that sense of urgency so that they want out of the negative situation that they're in. And by doing that, you're not doing anything to them. You're literally doing something for them. You're helping them get to a place where they can get their problem solved. Because a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind, right, Don? If they're not feeling some sort of pain, there's no reason for them to part with any money. Guys, if you're watching this live, and I will go over to you, Don. if you're watching this live, will you please put live down in the comments? And if you're watching it on a replay, will you please put replay down in the comments? It's how we help to get this out to more people. When you comment or you react to this video, it actually shoots it out to maybe like 10 more people. And then we've got an opportunity to reach people that we've never seen before, people that really, truly need our help. So, man, it would mean the world to me if you just put live or replay down in the comments. Don, back over to you.
Yeah, and I see this a lot with comfort advisors or people need service techs who are trying to sell. Is that, I'll give you a percent. I'll get you 0% for 60 months, and then they can't close it. And then you look at it and go, I don't care how much of a bargain you give me. I'm not buying anything I don't want or need. I often say pink flamingo pool toys. I don't deal you'll give me on pink flamingo pool toys. I don't want to see another pink flamingo pool toy in my life. I don't care if you give me 0% for 60 months. I'm not buying that shit. Okay. So if you do not establish the need, it doesn't matter what your bargain is, and they're not going to take you up on it. And that was actually one of the lessons out of the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I will have to find that and add that to some more of these posts, but that's a great one. People will distrust you until they know that you care. But again, it cares. No one wants to buy anything that they don't feel like they have a problem that has to be fixed. Do they have a need, and do they believe they have a need? Not just me telling them I have a need. So no pink flamingo pool toys. If y'all see an ad and it's awesome for a discount on those things, I don't want to see it. I don't want any pink flamingo pool toys in my life. So I'm good. See y'all.
You don't care if it's only $9.99 and you can finance it for 60 months at 0%?
I don't care on either one of those. It's not going to motivate me to buy a pink flamingo pool toy. Want it or need it. I don't care what your bargain is. I will distrust your bargains until I feel like I have a need. Okay.
For a pink flamingo pool toy.
Yeah, I do not need pink flamingo pool toys. So remember that. Are we out there? Are we out there pushing flamingo pool toys to people who don't even have a pool? That's what the problem really is we're out trying to say, I got a bargain on these things. I can, discount you a substantial amount on these pool toys, and these just darn customers are hard headed. They're not.
Yeah,
you're being hard headed. They're hard headed. They're cheap. They're hard headed. No, they're not. They don't want that. Find something they need. Find something they want, and then help them buy. That's our job, is to help people buy. I really love that. Our job is to make them feel from us. That do remember that is what our real purpose is. So
I want to repeat that for you because it cut out just a little bit. He said that our job is to make people feel good about buying from us. I'm going to say it one more time. Your job is to make people feel good about buying from you. And until you can do that, you're going to struggle. Guys, you should be making $500,000 or more a year in this business. If you're not, if you need help, if you want our help, put Mansion down in the comments and we'll get you some information about the next class that's coming up January 24th through the 28th. Or we can also get you information about the twice a week live trainings that we do. So if you want information about that, just put live training down in the comments and one of my team members or myself will reach out to you and get you that. Don, are there any closing words or are we good?
Time today, everyone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody, I hope that you're having a wonderful holiday season. I hope that all of you end up having a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We would love for you to become part of our family. So if you need help, reach out to us. First 30 minutes is on us. We love you guys. Have yourself a great day, ninjas. See ya.